Welcome, welcome, everybody. We are here with Karen from Hair Intelligence. I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about hair and hair care and all things hair. And I get asked all the time about hair. And I met Karen and she showed me pictures that her hair used to go down to her ankles or maybe even past her ankles. So I'm really excited to dive in and share some secrets with you guys. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Your hair is gorgeous. When I saw your hair, it was like, I have to add him
I gotta put
right away.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's more. There's more.
Yes,
So you have a brand called Hair Intelligence,
I
right?
do. I
So what
do.
inspired you to start that?
Oh my gosh. When I started working in a salon in Beverly Hills and they were long hair care, and I wasn't actually working there doing hair, I was just doing brows at the time. And the owner just said, grow your hair. So I started growing it, and then they would do treatments and things like that. And I just thought, wow, the treatments are so expensive and they weren't working on my hair. So I was like, I need a treatment. You need hydration. You need to feed your hair. So I got inspired. I was testing ingredients. That's when I grew my hair to my ankles. It was my ankles. And yeah, I literally just tested ingredients and just like fell in love with these ingredients and then put them all together and made this magic formula. Yeah.
What was your first form?
Well, my first formula was the brow growth and the lash growth. I tested that for a while and then I gave it a magic touch once I decided to do it in a treatment. So I did use it on myself testing, but I was just doing a brow at a time. And then I just kind of moved into doing hair. It was like, okay, I'm going to do the hair. And then I was growing my hair and using my own treatment. And people were just asking me, like, how do you do your hair? How do you brush it? How do you sleep? Every other question you can imagine. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to, I know what to do. I
I'm
just
gonna
naturally,
ask those questions too.
I know, I can imagine. I know that you have, because, even just looking at your hair when you were at the Conscious Life Expo, I was like, okay, yeah, he's another long hair, You're long
Yeah,
hair. That's what you call it, a long hair. So,
long hair. We're long hairs. No,
yeah,
I was saying I'm going to ask you those questions as well today, right now.
yes, do that.
People are trying to make their eyebrows longer. That's a thing.
No, they're trying to make sometimes when back in the day when people tweeze their brows. I've always kind of had thin brows, but they fit my face. But back in the day, people would over tweeze their brows a lot. So in the 90s, it was such a need for brow growth and regrowth. And I've had a client that didn't have her brows for so many years, and then she just used my products and finally accepted to do it. She was like, they haven't been there forever. So are they really going to grow in? So her and I got together. I said, look, just here's a product. Here's what we're going to do. And I just helped her to regrow it in. And there's methods behind it too. There's an understanding about the follicles because the follicle has its own way of like when there's not enough hair, the follicle is going to feel like a little like dim, but when you get more hairs growing and you start feeding those follicles, it just starts expanding. So we did it. It took a year, but we grew her in and she was so shocked. So I was like, okay, let's go to the hair. Let's make a hair treatment. So that's when I did it. And I thought, gosh, I'm going to sell a bottle that's half the price of the salon treatment. And they're going to get many, many, treatments in one. Like they at least get like 8 to 10 treatments in one bottle. So I got really excited and then I started labeling it. And actually, my dad passed as I was working on this project. And I painted this painting, which was the blue rose on my brand label. And I literally just got inspired to use that. And it just meant a lot because my dad was guiding me, to do this business and just telling me, keep going, keep going. You got this. You got a great product. And so, it took 5 years to perfect the formula of my hair treatment, which is similar to the brow treatment.
You mentioned treatments. Can you define what you mean by treatments for those of us who have never been in a hair salon?
Yes. A treatment is something that you do every so often so that you can hydrate and feed and nourish your hair. What most people don't realize is that our hair needs to be fed, and we don't realize it. We think just wash it, make it clean, and we're good to go. But it gets dry from the waters, it gets dry from harsh shampoos, especially. And so when we're feeding or even just treatment is just hydrating the hair. And usually I consider a treatment something that absorbs. It makes a difference over time. Now, some people go, "Oh, I want to get your mask." And I'm like, no, it's not a mask. A mask is something that stays on top and shifts that texture, which can be fun. But like this treatment, it absorbs into the hair and really shifts the texture. So once I started making that for everyone and for myself, then I realized I want to give it that next edge to it and make it a regrowth product, people to help them grow their hair, because I went through it with brows and just came into that. And, you really just need to know this is I look at this as like an empirical truth. Your hair needs nourishment. And even if it's once a month or once every 2 weeks, if you're having issues, like somebody like you can do a treatment once a month and feel great. Your hair's hydrated, you feel good. It's, and I've had clients that reverse gray as well. And I don't have color and I'm 61. So I don't have any gray. And I've been using my product for about 20 years.
In your opinion, what causes gray hairs?
Lack of minerals. But the thing is you can get enough so what happens is the body, the organs, especially as you get older, your organs need, like, they're going to take everything that you're eating and use it, which we're glad that it does that, because we don't want the organs to fail and the hair to be great. The hair is like leavable, for in that consideration. So because the organs take it up, it doesn't really get to the hair. The hair gets the nutrients last. So that's why, people are having this problem with gray. So if you're absorbing those minerals and nourishments with it to help it deliver, that's how you can really make a change. Yeah. It's
All right.
also to do with our waters and harsh shampoos, sulfates, all the things in shampoos are just, it's so harsh. And you can't expect to wash your hair a couple of days a week and just have it grow. You probably wash your hair once a week, right?
I mean, I don't even remember the last time I washed my hair, usually when
Yeah,
I wash my hair.
exactly. That's the best way to go. I mean, I go like sometimes 2 weeks, but I always need that refresher because I'll just put it in a braid most of the time. And I do tell people, and I think it would be good for you too, to braid it in between washes, because those oils that are coming out from your hair, people think, oh, it's dirty, it's gross, but it's actually really helpful to the hair. It feeds that and supports that follicle system.
Okay, so on feeding the hair, because what I just heard you say is that you could be having a great diet and your organs and your body is taking the minerals, and by the time the chain gets to the hair, the minerals might not make it to the hair. And so your solution is to feed the hair topically. Can you say a little
More
bit more about that?
consistently.
Because I
Yeah,
think that
consistently.
I feel that people don't know or may not even believe that hair can absorb nutrients and then use it to
I'm
color
glad you said
itself.
that. I'm so glad you said that, because when I realized that the hair reacts and it does absorb, that's where I got super excited. That's what actually excited me the most. I'm like, it reacts, it's alive, it's intelligent. And so if you get something that actually absorbs, when you do it consistently and it builds up, that texture starts changing and getting denser and nicer and, just stronger. There's no split ends, things like that. So now everybody needs to nourish their hair. There's like, if you look at all the different cultures, like Chinese, they rarely need to do it because they get so much oils and they wind up getting the oils down to the bottom of the hair by brushing it and all of that. And I always tell people, when you are having too much oils, brush it into the hair. The body wants those oils. So when you realize that the hair is alive and it's reacting, then you can do something and absorb. And I've learned over time that it can absorb.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that's kind of like
Yeah,
new information that most people don't know. And that would essentially make your product line be the missing puzzle piece, right? Because if hair can absorb, then we really have to look at everything that we're using on our hair and make sure that
we're
this
not
is what I would
absorbing.
like. Yeah, it's like if I wouldn't eat it, or like you just want to make sure that this belongs in the body and not just exterior to the body, which is how we think about shampoo, is that it's just exterior of the body. But you're saying that the hair is actually bringing it in.
Yes, exactly. Because the hair is actually our antenna. It's alive and it is connected. So even if you think about the brain is actually, when you think a thought or you get an idea, that brain sends it through the nervous system so that you can understand it. And it's the nervous system that does what it does to the hair. So if you have a good nervous system and it's running well, even deep breathing can be really good for that. So,
So you're saying the nervous system, the hair is part of the nervous system.
yeah, the nervous, because it's a receptor of the nervous system because it's right here. The brain activates and connects to the down the spine into the nervous system, and that also is giving messages to the hair. The hair can feel things, believe it or not. It can. That's why, because when you figure out that it responds, that's when you know that hair is alive and it can really do different things that we thought. We thought hair was dead, but it's not. It's energy.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to expand on that. I just want to validate what you're saying, that the hair actually does develop from the same base level of cells as the brain and the nervous system. Like when the sperm enters the egg and then that duplicates and that duplicates and that duplicates, eventually the body needs to separate all of these different cells into different types of cells, and it separates it into the cells that are going to be the bones and the muscles, and then it separates it into other cells that are going to be and that's called the mesoderm is the bones and the muscles, and then the endoderm is all the organs, and then the ectoderm, those cells turn into the brain, the nervous system, and the skin and the hair. And so I was just asking you.
And the fascia, which is the energy.
Great.
And
yes,
that's really what hair does. It's the energy more than the biologics come from the energy. And then the energy creates. And that's what happens. Like, so if you're stressed out, it's sending the signals and your hair's like, let's release some of this for her. You know, it really is connected that way. I've told clients to go and just sit and meditate no matter what's going on with their hair. Because I deal with a lot of different hair issues with, people that are going through alopecia, a real hair loss. I even had somebody just wrote a review yesterday or the day before that she went through chemo and she bought my product and she had to stop using it because her hair was growing so fast. But like she never thought she could grow her hair back. So, and I just want to go back to something we're talking about the nutrients. Usually when you're younger, everything's running well. So when you're eating, you're getting those nutrients in your hair. But it's when you're going through something. Like most women, when they're pregnant, after will experience some hair loss. That's when I was growing my hair to my ankles. So I didn't have any of that, So it happens when the body's off a little bit, and then that needs more of everything you're eating, the energy. But when you're running well, it gets to the hair. So the reason I think topical is really good, because if you are, going through something and you're eating and you're doing herbs and you're doing all the things you want to do, and then you're using it topically, it's kind of like an insurance policy of like getting it in there for sure. It's not like sometimes out of nowhere that your hair just doesn't get the nutrients. It has to do with if you're going through something, you're going through stress, or you have an ailment going on with a kidney or something like that, that place needs more energy. So the hair is going to be last.
Right. Yeah. The hair.
We're glad of that, though. We're glad of that because we want our organs to get it first.
Right. Right. The hair sacrifices itself.
Yes, it does.
Of the organism.
That's right. But I'm saying
guys,
you can do my program and my education and my method, and I like to call it the future of hair care, is that, you use this method and use these products, and then you understand what it really is, what your hair really is, and you understand that, then you can get somewhere and have longevity with your hair. And that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah. And guys, check the caption for a link to Karen's hair intelligence programs and products. And if you're watching this on Instagram, the recording can't really put links there. So just drop the comment, Karen, and I'll get that link over to you. And we've got some comments.
Great.
Stevie K saying, my hair is growing since I've been she's saying, I've become so sensitive the longer my hair gets. I have to keep it braided to feel grounded. I am
yes.
here. Another one saying that.
I completely agree.
Another one says that Gemma says that she puts her hair down in ocean water, freshwater lakes, natural waterfalls, and in sunshine.
Beautiful.
And then we do have a question about when you said that you were just not washing your hair. So the question is, so do you just get it wet in the shower and just use conditioner daily? Like, what are you actually doing when you're not washing your hair?
I have it in a braid, and then, so usually I'll wash once a week, but I can wait. It's no problem. My hair just is, if I braid it, but what happens is I'm just washing it, and then it after, usually I'm doing a treatment, right? And then after, even if I'm not, after I'm not even using conditioner, because that just, to me, I don't want to mess with any other companies, but you're just washing it down the drain. And so I have this product right here. It's the silica spray. So I just, after I wash, I just spray it, and it really helps, like a leave-in conditioner, and it glides the hair out. And it also seals the cuticle layer, making the hair stronger. So that's what I do. And then if I decide during the week, like
That
I need
stuff
a
is
little,
amazing, by the way.
huh?
I
Thank
think
you.
the silica spray is my favorite product of yours.
It's so many people, they love the treatment, but the silica spray, they're like, I need it on rotation because I do subscriptions, so they subscribe all the time to the hair. It's the silica spray. It's wonderful. It does so many different things. It's a styling spray too. So if you want to spray it after, and then you braid your hair, you pull it out and you have these waves, and it really is a nice styling, like holding. It's got a soft hold, and the cool thing is you don't have to wash that out. So that's why I do it like midweek. I might do it daily if I'm just organizing my hair, so I don't overwash it. And also, you don't want to overbrush it or overcomb it. You don't have that problem, Ross.
Well, I don't brush or comb enough, so I have tangles. My issue is tangles, and so the last few
Yes.
days I've been trying to get like years worth of tangles out of my hair.
Yeah. And that's how mine would be if I didn't have my products, honestly. I had dreadlocks before I had my products. Sometimes it would, like, I'd sleep and
Yeah.
it would, or if you get a little bit, if you get sick, which I haven't done in years, but like when I was younger, and my hair would just like be rolling around because you don't feel good. And then it's just like a dreadlock. So, and I've had that situation, and I use my treatment and my spray when that situation happens. Yeah. So just to go back to, so different heads have different things, right? So for me, I don't get oily hair, so I need less wash to let anything come up from my scalp. Some people get really oily hair, and that's what clients that I work with that have a really hard time not washing it, because they actually feel like it's weighing it down, and usually their hair can be a little bit thin, so they just feel it's weighed down. Now, always tell them to brush those oils into the hair and then just put it in a bun, just leave it up, and then wash it the next day or whatever. But, it's really good to leave those oils. I know it doesn't look the best, but if you can create some kind of slick back or a nice bun for work or something, leave it go. It's not gross. Believe me, it's not gross. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
because I did notice in your product line, you don't have like you have a hair conditioner that's like a deep treatment, but you don't have like a
conditioner.
normal type conditioner.
No, I don't. If anything, if somebody's like just doing the treatment once a month, I just tell them to use the satin balm. It's the little jar, and you use it on your hair and just braid it and then shower that night or the next day. And you'll have that pre-wash conditioner. That's much more effective because, especially with mine, because it actually absorbs as well. I created all my products to make sure they're absorbing. Yeah.
Our regular I know you don't know the ingredients to all of them, but our
No, not all of them,
regular
but a
hair
lot of them.
products, our regular shampoos and conditioners getting into the hair and destroying it, like, is it good for it? I feel that most people, and even myself included, normally think that conditioning the hair often is good. And I don't do it, but I'm just thinking that like for most people that's what they would think. Is that not good? Like how like what about people that are conditioning their hair often?
I, it depends on the products, like you were saying about the ingredients, about all the products. Most of the time when I see products, and I have clients that come to me, I do a lot of hair consults, which I love to do. I look at their astrology, I look at all their, everything they need. They show me their hair, they tell me everything. It's a journey. People, especially women, we're very emotional about our hair. So, I teach them, and I just say, you really just need to focus on doing the right things with your hair. Conditioner, depending on what the ingredients are, if there's a lot of ingredients, not a good idea, probably. If you feel your hair gets dry after a day or two of using the conditioner, it's probably not good.
Okay, it's a good test. It's a good test.
Yeah.
We got a question. Is it possible to regrow hair once a bald spot has formed? I get asked this question a lot
Yes.
too. I don't really have a good answer.
Yes, it is. But I don't want to harp on my treatment, but use that treatment consistent until you finish that first bottle and then start doing that. But I think if somebody has a bald spot, you should definitely do a hair consult with me as well, because then you might be doing something that you're not sure of and that I'm going to know and
Could you
make
give
sure
us
you're not
one
doing.
example?
Yes. One example would be putting metal barrettes in the hair, and then it pulls the hair out in a spot. You like it right here, like you put your hair up and you really like it there. And then you realize like, oh, I have breakage and now it's starting to bald. Because when you start breaking the hair, like I said, it's kind of sounds like woo woo, but the hair actually has intelligence and it feels things and it's informational. So that's why I call it intelligence. If you start to pull this up and it starts breaking off the hair is going to follow what you're doing. So then it gets worse and worse. Sometimes it's alopecia, sometimes it's other things, but either way, you have to stop doing what you're doing that's not correct and start using the treatment diligently so you can get that fed and wake it back up. Most of the time, this is really good to know, most of the time when you have a bald spot or you're losing hair, your hair is going to grow back. Even electrolysis isn't final all the time. People have to go back more and more. So don't worry about it. Just nourish it and stop doing anything that's harming it, and you'll be good to go.
What about things like hats? And actually, Coach Dallin is asking about like helmets. What about wearing a hockey helmet on a daily basis? How does that play into the hair?
Well, when it comes to male, it's definitely can be hereditary. I do believe when it is hereditary, because I help people prevent that. And that's what I tell them. I say, don't wear hats. But if you're doing hockey and you're enjoying yourself, I don't want to stop you from doing that. Maybe you can just wrap a bandana around so it's not rubbing straight against the head. Like do a bandana just to protect, or have something there to put on top. That'll protect a little bit. But anytime people, like a lot of people that are losing their hair, they wear hats or they wear,
Right.
ball caps. And so I always say, like, it needs oxygen. So, I know it's hard sometimes because they feel more comfortable in the hat, but if you just let your hair have the nutrients and give it oxygen, and maybe you wear your hat when you're having a meeting and you feel the best or whatever, just do it once in a while, not too much. If you're losing hair, like you wear a hat sometimes, and I see like it's not going to bother you because you don't do it enough, and you're probably taking it on and off naturally because your hair is thick and probably gets warm. So like that is fine, right? I don't like to make harsh rules. But if you are starting and you know it's hereditary, and it's usually from your mother's father that you get hereditary balding for men, your mother's father. So, if you feel that could be a thing, don't wear hats as much, especially before you start going. Maybe you're just receding. Yeah, it's a good idea to not wear hats at that point.
Yeah, I feel like that turns into a negative loop if you're starting to lose hair. And even women, they put extensions, and then the
Yes.
extensions start weighing down the hair, and it kind of does what you were saying with the metal barrettes. Or
And
they
I,
wear hats, and then it's just like, what are you doing? How do you get somebody out of that loop where they're destroying their hair to cover their hair?
yes, I always let them know this. If you're putting, like I said, your hair has intelligence. So if you're putting something because you're not happy with your hair, and so you want more hair, then it's like you're not accepting your hair, and there's an energy of that just keeps going on and on. So I help people stop doing that by, just take it out, just use the treatment. Luckily, like I had the last client that had chemo, she didn't even use the whole jar and her hair was growing so fast. So like just start on the treatment, take them out, focus on accepting your hair. I love you. Just have a goal that I want you to be a little longer and thicker. So just nourish it. Yeah.
I am so happy that you said that, because people sometimes overlook our connection and our relationship with our body and even our things, like the type of car that we drive. But we're talking about hair. Like admiring and respecting and building that relationship is super important, and it reflects
Yes. That's how
even
I
our
learned
plants.
about hair. I learned about hair when I grew my hair to my ankles. It was like telling me what it needs.
So what is hair? Because you mentioned astrology, and so what's like, how is the connection to astrology? Is there deeper connection to hair that we haven't talked about? Like, is there a past
Yeah.
lives thing? I'll ask about past lives after astrology, but let's get into astrology now.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, that question is, it could be from past lives. But one thing I can look at in the chart when I see like somebody's first house, because that rules the body and the head. So if somebody has like Uranus, because Uranus is actually the planet that rules the nervous system, therefore the hair, like energy and biology. Leo is the soul of the hair, I always say. So if you have a Leo rising, you're going to want more bright hair. I tell people don't dye it, just do one maybe so you feel that feeling, because they really want to feel a certain way with their hair. Like how Christopher is, he's a Leo rising, so he's always fixing, his hair, which is like,
He always is.
he always is. And he
That's
has to
funny.
feel it gets right before he stops and does it. That's exactly Leo.
Seriously.
And that's Leos too. All Leos, they have to check their hair first. And, Libras and Aquarius, we're like totally fine. Like if it's like flowing around, we don't, because we're not styling it as much. It's kind of easier just to be natural, isn't it?
Yeah, I noticed when we started, a couple minutes after, I noticed that I had like whole huge hair chunk coming out. I was like, man, I should have looked in the mirror first.
Oh, yeah. It's good to have a lot of hair coming out, though.
Yeah. All right.
I had a
So,
photo shoot. And I was growing like 2 inches of hair, and it was like in the sun so you could see it. It looked like I was a porcupine head.
and what about scalp scalp health? Is that like, how does the scalp, because when you think about hair, you're thinking about the hair, but what
Yeah,
else is there going on the head besides the hair that needs to be
it's the
paid attention
scalp.
to?
Yeah, the scalp and the follicles, all of that's connected together. So with scalp issues, my scalp treatment is one thing I always recommend, because with scalp issues, there's really a lot of challenges there with people. That's why I created my scalp treatment. It literally, like, if you have too much yeast or fungal in your body, sometimes that'll come out and start itching the head or flaking, things like that. And so I have that scalp treatment. You put it on, it starts, fixing it. I don't like to say healing, but fixing it on the inside. So you use it a few times and it'll clear up. And maybe you're susceptible to that because you have a lot of oils in your skin and it's just how it is for you. Some people they have their weaknesses in different places. So, just keep a bottle. I always tell people leave it in the fridge. It'll last you 5 years if you don't touch it, and you just leave it in the fridge. And some people just spot do it, and some people do full-on scalp treatments with it. And I actually designed that product years ago because one of my clients had psoriasis. And she said, I bought this $200 bottle from my doctor, and it's making my hair dry. It just hasn't worked, and it's just like terrible. So I just said, you know what, I'll make you something. And that's where the scalp treatment came. And she used it once, and it went away. And that sounds crazy, but it happened. And so she had the bottle so she could use it again if it came up again, because maybe that's happening to her. But it's good to have that bottle around. And you can even use that on like eczema or irritations on the skin.
Yeah, I've also used that as well because flaking, and that's something that happens to me. I haven't washed my hair. Like I went like 15 years without washing my hair once. When it was shorter, I would never wash my hair. I would just rinse it. I just never
Yeah.
really saw a need for it. Then when my hair
Yeah.
got longer, I still didn't wash it. And then it started
Yeah.
like becoming like an issue with the flakes.
Yeah. And I think it's your culture too, because my sons get that and they're the same culture. They're half white and half Filipino. So it's just that you have a lot of oils in your skin. It's just the way it is. So it's longer too. It's, you have to, it's actually just ultimately saying, take better care of me, work on me, love me. So use the treatment, use the scalp treatment, spray it, don't wash it. Make sure you're using the seamless comb to comb it out so everything's smooth. You'll never get knots if you do that. All you have to do is comb it out when it's wet and then just braid it, take it out, just use the spray on like the third day or something and comb it through again if there's any knots. You don't have to comb your hair if there's no knots unless you want to straighten it out or something,
So comb your hair when you're wet. So when it's wet, that even I think is unnormal.
Yes.
Do you not comb or brush your hair when it's dry? I feel like
So,
it's safer to do when it's dry.
no, it's actually the opposite.
Okay.
The wetter your hair, the more flexible your hair is, so the less breaking. That's why, like, if you do have dry hair and say you got a knot, like for you, if you get a knot under or something, and then you can just pull that out and spray it and then use the seamless comb and comb that out. Now that it's wet, you can use the comb. You're dampening it to get that out, right? So when your hair is dry, that's when you should be brushing it. Now, not normal brushing. Yes, brushing just to organize and style or whatever, but brushing in a nourishing style. Like if you're using a natural bore brush and you're going upside down and you're brushing your hair and you're brushing it to the side and you're brushing it to the other, it's exercising the scalp too, and it feels really good. That like once a week. So it's just comb when wet. If you have a knot, spray it or use a little bit of the balm or the treatment and then comb that and knot out specifically. Don't just leave it, because once you leave it, it's going to have more and more and more, build up on it, as you know.
And what are something that, like, what can somebody do for the hair now that maybe they're not doing, like without products?
Yes.
Like, what are some tips that people can do at home, like now, that will help
Right.
their hair?
Yes. Number one is not overwashing. If you feel that you have, like, by the third day, you need a wash, and just say it's not oily, but it's just doesn't look as fresh. And that's one reason why people overwash. They just want it to look fresh. Use a silica spray, or even like you said, get in the shower and damp, like wet it, and then start over, that way. Overwashing is our follicles are in need of more. So when you're overwashing it, you're draining the follicles. So you don't want to do that. The other thing is the combing. Make sure you have a good comb. Most combs are made in a mold and they have these little seams inside the teeth. And you'll be combing your hair and it'll just break because those teeth, the teeth there, inside of there's a seam, and that seam is very sharp. They
Let's.
file it down, but it's still going to grab. So the
So you're
seam is
saying,
comb.
yeah, the mold is leaving a little razor blade in between the teeth of the
That's
comb.
exactly right. And they do shave it down some, but it's still going to catch your hair, especially if you have a knot, and it's going to break it. The same thing with those brushes. So another tip is that the brushes that have the rubber here, and then they have the prongs coming out with the ball on the end,
Mm-hmm.
not good. You never want to put rubber by your hair because rubber pulls the hair and it breaks it. Most people think we always just naturally get split ends. I have no split ends because I don't break my hair, So that's one thing, to make sure that you're using the proper tools. And the little balls at the end of those like vent brushes, they actually also pull. If you have a knot, they'll just rip it. So you have to be careful with that. The other tip could be that, do you have a shower filter? Are you leaving hard magnesiums on your hair? I have one on my site. It's the best one. It uses quartz. It uses charcoal. It uses shungite. It's beautiful. You do have to change it every year, but it's not that expensive. That one I use. I love that one. So if you don't have a shower filter right now, you could take before I had my shower filter, I would go and buy jugs of water and just put it in the bathroom. I only wash my hair once a week, so I would just use the whole jug and over my body just to rinse any from our waters aren't, especially in California. But yeah, if you have really good spring water or water that's coming from a well, you're fine. Yeah. And so I would say also nourish the hair. That would be the other thing. There's so much, but yeah.
So James Porterfield's asking, for someone whose braiding skills are almost non-existent,
Yeah.
any suggestions on how to start?
Yes. Go on YouTube and look for your length of hair and try to learn it. Also, if you can get your mother or your girlfriend or somebody, I had 4 kids. They all had long hair down past their butt, even the boys. And their dad had long hair like yours. And I had hair to my ankles. And I did everybody's hair, because it is hard to do it. And it is hard to braid it. I'm not great at braids. I braid it, but I can't do a French braid on myself. I wish I could. So just do the easiest braid that you can, or 2 braids in the front. And you just learn, you just take, 3 and you just sew them together like that. And just learn how to do it. I think that would be the easiest. Just start learning about it. And if you do have a friend or somebody, it's nice to be able to do it by yourself. But yeah, if you live with somebody, let them do it. If it's a girl, she probably knows how.
And we're getting a question about curly hair. It just says, any advice for curly hair?
Yes, absolutely. My curly hair women love my products. I have a lot of clients that are the curly heads. So one thing about your curls is if your hair's dry from the water that you're showering in, or you're just not nourishing or treating it enough with the treatment, and you're just washing it, maybe the shampoo's kind of harsh, your curls are going to be weird. They're not going to be elongated and bounce like your normal curls should do. Whether it's a tight curl for African American hair, or if it's just anybody that has wavy curly hair, the curly hair is going to look nicer when you're using products that don't have harsh chemicals and you're not using water that's harsh. That's the start from there. And then you need to use a styling product that you're using through the week that would be non-harmful for your hair. My
Okay.
products are that, yeah.
So curly hair people do use products in their hair daily.
Yes, they do. They need that extra little hydration. One of the products I do recommend is my satin balm. My satin balm, you can just use a little bit like you're using a lip balm and just pull through your curls and twirl them if you want and just play. That's a great product to just play and just use a little bit. A little bit goes a long way and you don't want it too heavy with product. But that'll start absorbing, and a day later, or even later that day, your hair is still going to look great.
And what about people with thin hair that want it thicker? Somebody's actually asking about her 2-year-old daughter has very thin hair. How can I make her hair grow thicker?
Yeah. I had a client that she had thin hair and she used my product for a couple of years, and then she had a baby and she was using the brow treatment and combing the baby's hair. So I think doing a treatment, getting a treatment for yourself and then putting that on her too, maybe once a month. All my products are organic, natural, they absorb. They're like food. If you were on a desert island, you could eat them. That's what I tell everybody. All of my products. Yeah, even the spray, you could drink it up. It wouldn't taste great, but it would be good for your body. So it's good for all children and things like that, even babies, infants.
And what do you think that if you're coloring your hair, like if you're dyeing your hair, what sort of impact does that have on the body, both physically and even energetically?
So those two, and then also for the hair. First of all, your body, your skin, your scalp, everything, that's the biggest organ in your body and it absorbs the most. So you're using these chemicals and bleaches, or depending on the color you're using. And it's really, first of all, absorbing into the body. That's unhealthy for the body. It starts messing with hormones, everything. Second of all, it's really, really harming the follicles and the hair. So the follicles, it's like hitting them and shocking them. And when you, like people that used to tweeze their brows years ago, they would do it so much, that's why the hair wouldn't come back, because you're shocking the follicle. Same thing with the hair. When you put color on, it shocks the follicles. And there's plenty of natural ones out there. There's henna cream. There's things that are really nice, and they're all natural. So I would say move to that. And it's definitely going to harm your hair. And that's why most people get in the vicious cycle of coloring, because when you're using the color, it looks so shiny and nice. But then when weeks go by and it feels so dry and you say, I'm going to get another color, and you're coloring way too much.
You keep on mentioning follicle, and I think even for myself, I'm thinking back to like textbooks in physiology class of the follicle. But could you tell us a little bit more about the role of the follicle? Because you've mentioned it a lot, like it's important.
Yes.
So what does the follicle do and how does it contribute to the hair?
Well, imagine the follicle is like this. And imagine you put a seed in here, you're going to go grow a plant. All the juices and sebum in the bottom of that follicle is protecting that seed, like the dirt and the soil. And that's the follicle. So the very bottom of the follicle is where hair gets regenerated or not. So the follicle is key for you. That's where your hair comes from. That one you want to feed and nourish. And it's just part of where the hair comes in, and it creates the whole system when the hair grows or when it's not. Feeding that follicle and nourishing it. And I keep saying that, but honestly, feeding that follicle, it's like fertilizing your plant or your seeds that you're growing in your garden. You want to make sure you're nourishing it because it needs nutrients. Yeah. So is that
Okay,
explaining?
so that's like you have your products are actually seeping down into the follicle
Yeah.
because that's why you
Specifically,
say like put it on your scalp.
yes, and leave it in for at least 4 hours, and your own body heat
Oh,
will activate. Yes, because that was my goal. It's like I don't want to use more products that just sit there and don't absorb. So I want to know how. That's why it took me 5 years. I want to know how this is going to absorb and they're really going to get the nutrients. Because I am the kind of person, I don't want to do anything just for nothing. I want to do something that really works. So I created it to absorb specifically. And so, yeah, it absorbs every time you use it.
and
I'm proud.
our hair and skin is definitely to absorb. It's not to protect. Like we always think about like it's to keep stuff out. But no, our
Yeah,
body's made to interact with the environment. It's actually pulling stuff in. It's transmuting information both in and out.
100%. That's a great point. It absolutely is. I mean, I've had different situations, but one of them, I was going to this place downtown and for fabric, and I went in and it was all these different fabrics, a lot of dark fabrics and just kind of leathers. And it was kind of a weird place, but they had really good section in there. So I was looking through and I was downtown and through the stores. And when I went back, my hair just had a reaction and just knotted up. And it told me everything I needed to know about that space. It was like, oh, my hair absorbs. So I'll never go out at a place that I don't know what it is without braiding my hair. So when you do like an Indian braid and you put it back, your hair is really protected that way. And there's another thing that you can do, which I did. First of all, I used my spray and I combed it out. And then also I did a whole clearing on it. So you go upside down, you shake your hair, you shake it, you do deep breaths, shaking your hands out, just releasing all the energy. And then you can do Palo Santos or anything around your hair. I love doing that. That's a great cleanse. And just cleanse your mind with it, because your mind is going, your signals are going right through the hair. That's why I tell people have a goal. Like when I meet somebody for doing a hair consult, I always say, all right, close your eyes. And everybody can do this if they want. Close your eyes. And just imagine 3 years from now, and you're at your very best in life, and you're standing on a stage. What does your hair look like at its best? And then you see something, maybe some people see it. That's your goal hair. And then you go for that. And when you create that goal, the hair follows, as long as you're doing the right things, because the hair knows if you're harming the hair in any way, then it's going to be like, okay, I guess she doesn't want that, because it kind of assumes we know what to do. Most of us don't, you know? And that's why I'm here. And I spoke in the schools and stuff, and the art directors like, please get your book out, because we're 150 years behind on the places where they learn. And they're just learning this different styles and creativity and keep your scissors clean. But they're
Right.
not learning. They're learning the growth phases, which bores me, because I rather just speed up and play with that. You know, she was like, we need to know this information. So yeah, I'm really trying to get the information, the education out. The future of hair care is my goal. I want to be able to, you know, heal one head at a time. And that's what I've been doing.
Thank you for that exercise, by the way. I'm really like that was amazing. I just
Yeah.
haven't done that. Like
Yeah.
imagining the goal hair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun, isn't it? And then you
Yeah.
get excited, and that's where things start happening. And you know, the hair's listening to you, and you're listening, you should be listening to it. And that's how I knew how to take care of hair. I mean, my whole family was in cosmetics, but nobody grew their hair. Oh, and even the salon that I worked in, they were decent. They told me what combs and brushes to use, which was amazing, and to do treatment, but their treatment was more chemical based, so I couldn't really use it. I tried it once and my hair reacted. Another chemical reaction. So, you know, I just like got inspired, and when I grew my hair, I knew I needed something. And, you know, it's just amazing when I did grow it that long, like I received, if you want to say, downloads from my hair. And, you know, I realized that, oh, it really is alive, you know? Like I knew it was alive. I've never believed that your hair was dead, but like I just was surprised that I was getting the downloads from my hair. And that's why they say like your hair is really alive and affecting you. Like back in the day when the Indians got their heads shaved and then they went out to war, they say their perception was off. Yes,
Right.
that can happen because it's a big change. Like I cut like 13 inches off when my hair was long. I cut it and I felt, first of all, I felt pretty good because I needed to release some history, but like it was definitely shocking. So I can imagine shaving it all off. Ugh, that would be hard.
And what
Yeah.
about sun exposure?
Sun exposure is fine if it's not burning your head. Because I do a lot of walks and sometimes my head will feel burned. So I'll put a bandana on. It's the bandanas are the best things besides hats because oxygen can get through its fabric. So it's more open.
Is it
Yeah.
possible for the sun to destroy hair? I know some people's hair gets lighter in the sun.
No,
Is
no,
it
it won't
okay?
destroy it. Yeah, it won't. So, a couple of things. When you're at the beach and you're putting your head, like the girl was saying, you put your head in the water, that's all really wonderful because salt can clarify and there's minerals in that water, right? But if you do it too much, you're going to notice your hair feels dry. And then if you're in the sun, it's going to get dry. So you can use the spray or you can use the balm a little bit and put it in your hair before you go to the beach. And then after do a treatment, just hydrate it. Just make sure you hydrate it. That way it's not dry, because it only damages your hair when it dries out. When I was younger, I'd go to the beach all the time and my hair turned like pretty much blonde because of the sun, and I liked it. But then when I got older, I was like, I want my hair back to normal color. When I used my treatment, this is my natural color, but it was light for years because it was dry. So you'll notice your hair gets lighter when it's real dry.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting a question about downloads. What do you mean by that?
Well, the part of the astrology part of me, I am a channel. I've been that by birth. So I figured that out when I was like in my 20s, when I did it involuntary for someone. So I do hair consults and I also do astrology readings, and I'm channeling those astrology readings. I work with your guides and things like that. So it just so happens that I worked on this hair stuff, but I'm also, having this other gift. So I actually do hair consults and the hair, and the astrology. So I mean by downloads is that I have this ability, and we all get it actually, because most people think that this is going to get kind of deep, but most people think that your brain is the one that conceives of an idea, but your brain is only perceiving an idea that your consciousness brought through and then deciding what to do with it. So everything comes, the download is like, oh, I have a great idea. Oh, I just thought I was going to call her and then she called me, and things like that. That's when you're tapping in. When you do it like I'm doing it in a reading, I'm specifically tapping into my guides and their guides and then pulling energy in. So I more channeling. I don't know if you've ever seen a channel, but they bring the downloads in quite faster where they're having a conversation with it. Yeah, that happens to all of us.
Right. Yeah. I wake up every morning with messages that are prophetic and feel like they're guiding me every single morning. And a lot of times they're scary. The one I got this morning, I'm hesitant on going in that direction, but I will trust it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had somebody that I was dating one time. He would dream the truth. He dreamt that his friend called him and he was hurt because he broke up. And the next morning he called him and said that. So I never dream truth. I dream a lot of things like I'm on a beach and I'm enjoying myself, or I'm getting chased and I fly in the sky. So I don't usually get I probably do at times, but these scary ones, I don't think that. I think it's just an experience that I'm having, and it can create you to be more grateful that you're here and that's not happening or things like that. But yeah, dreams are amazing. And I always tell people, whatever rising sign you are, the bottom part is where you're sleeping and you're dreaming. So when you get up in the morning, for everyone, when you get up in the morning, that's where your rising sign is. That's where you start to feel like, oh, what am I feeling this morning? How do I want to run my morning? Because then later it starts in another sign. It goes all the way up. So the top of the chart in astrology is the daytime, and the bottom is the nighttime when you're sleeping. Yeah, so the sun sets in the 6th house and goes under. So when you wake up in the morning and you're feeling things and you're figuring out, like for me, I like to get work done in the morning. I like to meditate and work out and then get work done right away and then have a little break, because then it goes into my 12th, which I want to like reflect and just think about work and things like that. So when you're rising sign, just remember when you wake up, especially if you're a Cancer rising, make sure you're allowing yourself to cry if you need it, or balancing those emotions and using emotional intelligence through your day. Because if you wake up and you have feeling emotional and you take it through your day, it can affect.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. My wife and I have different schedules on that. And like she likes to relax in the morning, and I feel like I'm the most productive and I just want to work, lock myself in the room and like just be on my computer. But she wants
it's usually like that
or a cacao, and I'm like, no,
yeah
I don't.
And that's when you're relaxing, but you're focusing, more focused relaxation, right?
Well, no, that's what she likes. She draws me away from. Anyways, that's family politics.
It's interesting. It's interesting how families grow up and they all have different rises. They all want to do a different thing. Yeah. And I think it's normal, because my children's father, he would sleep in until 8. I'd be waiting for him to get out because I would meditate in there. So I would get the kids ready, and then as soon as he got up, I was in there for an hour, and then he would do his thing and start working right away. So
Yeah.
it's definitely usually one person wants to fall asleep during the movie and the other person's up and saying, "Why can't you finish the movie?"
Right. That's me, and she falls asleep. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so funny how different we all are.
I
And
know.
it actually
Like my
irritates me a
ex
little
used to
bit that
say,
she falls asleep too, which I don't even understand. I'm like, but like,
yeah, how and it's because she might be a projector too. You're probably a manifestor generator. That's human design that I'm speaking now. But if you're a projector, you need more rest because you're projecting, you're giving a lot, you're serving. So she's
yeah,
serving you around you while you're getting things done and you're manifesting. And then she's needs that nap usually,
right. Yeah.
which is going to bed early.
You like rapid fired so much stuff. That
Yeah.
was amazing. Do you have, so what about results? Somebody was questioning like, because like, is it possible for somebody with male pattern baldness to start to reverse that? Have you seen somebody do that?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I have a client that bought the product and she started using it on her husband. And he was like bald, like to back here, and he started getting more hair in here. And she's still using it. But she sent me a photo of the before and after. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. But I knew how to, like, if you have male pattern baldness and you want to like meet with me, I can tell you the things to help prevent it. And possibly with the treatment, it can grow back. It depends on where you are in it and what you've been doing, but definitely start with the treatment because that's going to start nourishing it. And most of the time, like with my product, I tell people if they're trying to grow or whatever they're doing, is that the first 3 months, the product is absorbing into your hair and fixing things, And then once you get to that 3 month mark into 4 months, depending on where you were, if somebody's in a really good spot and they use for 3 months, they're going to grow right then. But if it's been healing you all that time, then it takes another 1 or 2 months to start growing. So male pattern baldness is something that can be a little bit stubborn, but I've had people do it. And most men just don't want to be consistent with a product. That's what I notice. So if you're
Yeah.
consistent, and you use the product every 2 weeks. You don't have to do it once a week, just every 2 weeks until you finish the bottle. And then when you start seeing it come back, you want to keep going. Once you get your hair all the way back, then you can just maintain it with once a month. Because we, again, still need to nourish our hair.
Yeah. I don't remember when I first met you, but it was like probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I bought your hair treatment and I I wasn't consistent at all. Like the whole
Yeah.
thing is pretty much full right now, but you're blowing my mind with the follicle and having to get and like basically it acting like fertilizer for the
Yes.
hair. And now it makes more sense to me because for me, I
Yes.
was thinking I don't want to put any more oily type things
That's right.
on my scalp. And so I was super hesitant to do that. But now I see the reason for it and I will submit. And
Yeah. And also, I'll tell you something else. There's another thing about oils. So sometimes, if the oils are like some people were like, I've always been oily, but it wasn't this much. Then I'm saying, how many times are you washing? Because if your hair starts getting oily over time, more than it did, or something like that, because some people just have the same oil throughout their life. I've always been exactly this way. That's a different story. I still tell them to brush it through to make sure you get because actually the goal of the oil that's coming up, it's trying to get to the end and fix it from being dry. So if you don't brush it in, it's just going to keep coming out. Then you wash it, it keeps coming out more and more until its goal is to try to get and hydrate this hair. So now some people started getting oily later, right? They were a little bit oily, but they got worse. So then I tell them just leave it go for 3 weeks. Just wash it once a week and leave it go because they've been washing every day just about. I said, leave it go and just do it once a week. Wash your hair, use the treatment. The treatment will go in and then hydrate this part, and the oils will get the idea. I don't have to shoot out as much because our hair is getting the nutrients. So that's another thing because it's trying to hydrate the hair at the bottom. That's the oldest hair or the drier hair, whatever that is. So I've helped people like balance it back out.
right.
It's really fun. Yeah.
And so you have hair products, you talk to people with consultations. It sounds like you're talking to hair schools somehow. Do you cut hair as well?
Yes, I do. I do long hair trims. Yeah, I have
Okay.
clients that come once a year. I tell them come once a year. Don't overcut. That's another great tip. People think here's another myth too, is that people think they need to cut their hair so it starts growing faster. That is exactly not true, because when you cut the hair, it gets shorter.
Right.
But your dresser will say cut it because she's trying to get the dead ends off, and she thinks
Right.
it's going to be healthier that way. But then you can prevent the dead ends, and just like I've went 3 years without cutting my hair. How long has it been for you?
8
8 years?
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you still have like some brana at the end. You still got your stuff at the end. But I would do it, but I really like my hair to look really nice at the bottom. I like to cut it straight so it looks nice and healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. I also feel that at one point I was convinced that the ends of my hair are where the energy comes in, and so cutting it just didn't really feel good to me to like.
Yeah, cut off like your receiving
Right.
system. Yeah. It actually goes all over. It receives it from the follicle. Like when you nourish that, it starts to go down the hair. And that, like when you feed your scalp, people have in the beginning used to use it just on their scalp, and then it would just kind of start going down in the inside of it, because there's a core of the hair, and then there's like layers on the outside. So that's why these layers get messed up most of the time when people's hair is not right. So then you want to protect those hairs, seal the cuticle layer to protect the core of the hair, and that makes the hair overall healthy. That's why I don't have any breakage or anything.
Wait,
So,
go back to that core and the layers and everything.
So imagine that your follicles have like a tree. Think about a tree, but a very small microscopic way. Your hair has a center system that's doing its own thing, and then it has layers on the outside, and then it has the follicle here. The follicle feeds inside of there, and also on the outside, because the barrier of the hair actually can be sealed and protect that inside. So when you're heating it, for example, or you're overwashing and you're drying it out, then it's when it starts breaking. And if you're using the wrong tools, it'll break. But also if it's real dry, it can also break real easy. So that's how you know you shouldn't brush when it's dry. You should comb when it's wet. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm glad you brought up heat. I can't believe we didn't cover that.
yeah, there's so much. I have so much more, especially the astrology.
What's your advice for hair? Like, I've never used a hair dryer in this hair. It just doesn't feel like that would be healthy for my hair.
Yeah.
But what's like, why do you think people use hair dryers or blowers, and what's the safe way to do that? What's the best way to do that?
Okay, good question. Okay, so when you're blow drying your hair, if it's on real hot, it's going to heat up that hair and burn it. And that's not good for your hair. It'll break, it'll get weak. But if you're living in a cold environment, I find people that do that, and your hair you wash it in the morning, and I would say washing it at night. But if you're washing it in the morning and you just don't want to go out in the cold, just do it on a medium heat, upside down. Just don't make it hot, and don't dry it all the way. Dry it most of the way and leave it damp.
What do you mean upside down?
Like flip your head upside down so you get the underneath.
Okay. That's a
I'm not
maneuver
going
I'm
to do
not
it because
familiar
the
with.
hair will be everywhere. But yeah, you flip your head upside down. And that
All right.
actually brings energy to the scalp too.
Right.
So,
and you were saying that earlier, like get upside down. I was wondering if you actually meant upside down, but you can just bend over for that to move your hair around.
So basically when you're brushing your hair, I said do that so you get most of the time we don't get here, like make it really smooth, and sometimes it can break under there. So when you're brushing your hair, it's more of a nourishing brush. So you can go upside down, brush your hair, like just leaning over, like you said, and then brush it. But I used to hang upside down on an inversion machine. I really like doing that. Now I have the feet up, so I still go upside down. You can go off the end of your bed. That's really good to get the blood circulation up to your scalp. That's actually not too much. Don't stay there too long, but if you do that for like even 30 seconds every day, that really stimulates the hair, and you get the blood, and it's energy for the hair.
Yeah, from a yogic standpoint, headstands and being upside down every single day is very important.
And a lot of people that are losing their hair, they don't want to do headstands.
Okay.
So I always say get the feet up. I have the feet up. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically where you put your head in and your shoulders lay on.
It looks like a toilet seat.
Exactly. And it has legs, and you just go upside down. I do that every day because I just love
like
doing
that. My sister
Yeah.
has one and I use it every time I go to her house
Yeah,
because
it's so fun. I've had it
it
for
takes all the
years.
tension off the neck as well.
Yeah, it really does. And it brings every, because we're so gravity's always this way. So when we go upside down, I was a gymnast years ago, and I was always doing backflips and jumping around. And as I got older, I started realizing like I need to go upside down. So when I got that, I was just like, this is the best thing ever because, like I said, some people that are losing their hair, they don't want to go on their head because they feel like they're really sensitive about it. They feel like, oh, if I get up, it's going to pull it and stuff like that. Because especially if it's a real emotional situation where they lost their hair. So the feet up is great because your hair doesn't go down. It really helps your neck and your shoulders to like elongate. You can move your head around when you're upside down and things like that. It's really, really good for the hair, for the scalp and the energy of the hair.
My friend in Sweden's asking about infrared or traditional saunas. I have a sauna too, a traditional one, and I always try to cover it, but is like, what's your advice around saunas?
Okay, well, if you think about it, anytime you get into water or dampness, unless it's a heat one, we'll talk about that. But if you get in the saunas that are more wet, a wet sauna, then what happens is your pores open up. Like when you get in the shower, you put hot water in, your pores open up, your follicles open up, and then they release. As you know, when you sweat and it goes out, and then you have to rinse it out. So it releases. So it's not particularly good for the hair, but I do think it's good for the body. But I don't think it's like anything for hair. I wouldn't even do it every day for hair if you're trying to grow it because you're always releasing. And then you have to wash your hair a lot if it gets wet there, too much. Warm saunas are okay. I don't think there's anything about the hair. I would just wrap the hair and put my satin balm on it just to hydrate it and put it in a bun. That's what I would do if I went into a hot sauna. And then the ones that cover your head, not really.
What about washing your hair with hot water versus like tap temperature water? Where are you at with that?
I can tell you exactly. So when you get in the shower, I like a hot shower. So what I do is I go in and I wet my hair with the hot water. Usually I have treatment on or something. So I wet my hair with the warm water all the way thorough. And then I shower a little bit, do my thing. And then I turn it down to like a warm, cool, not just like a medium. And then I will rinse it, wash my hair, rinse it out. If I need to turn it up just to get, shampoo, I'll rinse it out. But then you want to end it with, that's why shower filters are the best. You want to end it with the cool water because that seals.
Okay.
Just like our skin, if we're doing hot, it opens. That's why hot and cold is so good because it exercises the cells. For hair, it's okay. Hot water is unless it's burning your scalp, is not bad for the hair. But I like ending in neutral or even cool. I always do a hot shower, wash my hair, and then put on cool as I can get it. So I can do like a hot and cold shower. I love that.
Yeah, it doesn't get extremely cold in Southern California, but like Northern
Doesn't.
California, I lived for
Nothing
a
like an
year.
ice bath. Nothing at
Yeah.
all like an ice bath.
Yeah. And is stuff like that, like ice baths, a lot of people dunk under. I mean, it's only for a few seconds. I'm sure that's
I
not
don't
going to
think
do
it's bad at
anything.
all. It's closing
Yeah.
up the follicle. It's activating. So yeah, I think that would be the best thing.
All
Yeah.
right. Do you have anything else to add? Like, you've given so much good information.
I would say a little bit more about astrology.
Let's do
So
it.
what I do with astrology is I do readings, but after years of me doing astrology, I came upon this asteroid called Chiron, and everybody has a Chiron, and it's where they get triggered in this lifetime. And I was getting triggered. I have Chiron right next to my Venus, my heart, and it's in the second house of Pisces, so it's very sensitive. So when I get these triggers years ago, before I understood how to work with it, I literally would be desperate, like crying and desperate to see what is this, because I knew it wasn't normal. And so I was doing research around and everything, and I could not find the answers to what I was looking for. I read a little bit, I got some information, but I wanted the solution. I'm a solution person. That's what my hair products are about, and all my teaching is about. And even with doing astrology. So I literally just decided, I need to know what this is. So I wind up turning everything off, no more research, and I went and meditated for like a month and a half. And I remember sitting there going, I need to know what this is. And I prayed about it, and I actually spoke to Chiron. I had no idea it would be listening or anything. And then I got again, downloads to the answers. And I was like, this sounds more like it. And I said, well, I'm going to try this. And if I can do it, then I'll help others doing it. So now I'm doing all these Chiron readings for people and helping them repattern it and change it so that you can, because you can change it. You know, most people think with Chiron that you're always going to have it. You're always going to have the other side of it, the possibility of getting fed to the thing you feel lack in, or whatever that victim part of you is with Chiron. It represents where we feel triggered or a little bit of a victim. And all of us have it. So nobody's out of the water, but you can reprogram and alchemize it. So now I specialize in that. And the other thing I'll say, and I'll let you talk, is that when I do astrology and I do hair consults at the same time, I'm looking at those planets, and sometimes I can see where if a planet is squaring something, maybe their first house or their first house sun or wherever, I can see I can read the chart and say, okay, maybe it's their health. So I can see it in the chart. And with health as well, you could see what it's saying in the chart and know what to do. So I've helped people with their health and with their hair, even looking at the chart. So I became a master astrologer, and then I started specializing in Chiron because I'm so passionate about Chiron, because I believe those triggers and those feelings can stop us from moving forward into what we really want to be. Because we feel, it's interesting, Rob, because when you feel that feeling and you're like not sure what's going on, you don't know anything yet about this, you actually feel like secretly that might be the reason why you're not worth going to the next level. And that was why I started doing it, because I thought, wow, like this is making people feel like it's valid that they're not enough value or something, because they actually feel that. So it must be true. So it goes really deep because it comes from the past life, actually. The past life work is about, what actually happened. So your soul brings that forward with you to actually start alchemizing it. So it doesn't repeat itself like what happened in your past life, but it shows up when you're a child too. But it actually comes back just for you to fix it and try to respond different and things like that. And I have the whole method and the steps with it that I got from actually Chiron's wife, which is Cheroklo. And that was really interesting.
What? I thought Chiron was an asteroid.
It is. And it has another asteroid, and she's the wife, and she has a ring around her like Saturn. It's like, of course she has a ring. She's very feminine, and she's actually the one, when you look at her in your chart, you can see, oh, this is where I can find the tools to heal. So she gives you the tools to heal, and she gave that to me. And then I've been helping hundreds and hundreds of clients fix it. So it's really fun.
Okay, so people can also book just like a straight up astrology.
They can do astrology, they can do the Chiron reading. So that'll be like a 90-minute because it goes in depth. And then the astrology be an hour where we just do if you know astrology already, we'll go at the level where you are. I'm really good at tuning in to see where you are and then going there. So I don't just speak and you're not absorbing or hearing it.
Karen at Hair Intelligence on IG. And I think that you gave so much information to keep on going. Is like we could keep on
it's
doing
like what
that,
else should we talk about?
Yeah, this was just so potent, and I just give people an opportunity to reach out to you and find more information. Once again, it's down in the caption, guys, linked. She's at Hair Intelligence on Instagram as well. And then Karen, I want to just say thank you. I know you helped out a lot of people, just even me, think about hair a little bit differently, the follicles especially.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to do it because I was thinking about you, and I kind of knew you might not, because I was checking your hair and I kind of knew you weren't doing the treatment. So I was like, all right, let me just get him another one and get him started. And because you have such gorgeous hair, so let's just hydrate it and maintain it. And, your follicles, the oiliness might start slowing down, or I don't know if you've used that scalp treatment, if you felt that it helped at all, but yeah, just keep doing that.
The flakes are like, I don't see them much. Yeah.
Yay. And then if you start to see it and it comes up again, just use it again.
Right.
Yeah. That's so great to be here. Thank you so much for sharing your platform with me too.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks again for sharing with everybody. Take care, everybody. Thanks for the comments.
Yeah, definitely.
That was